Okay, hi, this is Jason Tolerico of One Timers, and for those of you that just took the 2020 February bar exam, I kind of wanted to go over a couple of the fact patterns so that you can kind of see what the bar exam is all about and how simple it could be if you just do some of the fundamentals. All right, so we're going to go to question one, the torts one, and it's going to get us to see what the issues are really quick. I'm not going to say it right now because I want to show you how the fact pattern will develop the issues so you can find them so easily. All right. So, Paul has sued Dan based on his statement to the class. What claims may Paul reasonably raise against Dan? What defenses may Dan assert? And may Paul recover? And what is the likely outcome? So it's just your standard question. So it's P versus D. What claims does P have versus D? And I know some of you use checklists and mnemonics. They don't work. I mean, they really don't work. And I can prove it time and time again. Let's take a look at this because this essay only has 4 issues, 3 of them that are really not hard to find. All right, number 1, let's take it from the top. Paul's an actor. He had a small but memorable roles in 2 recent Hollywood blockbusters. Huh. So he's somebody that might be recognized in LA, at least around town, I assume in LA because it's Hollywood. Memorable roles. So people might remember this guy. He's not exactly your leading actor, but he's somebody who might be recognized. You see where I'm going with this? The public figure issue in defamation. Paul was also a first-year law student. Not uncommon for people to go from law school, even being a doctor or whatever the case is. He began having difficulties keeping up with his studies and becoming increasingly anxious about failing. I know a lot of you have been there. He told his legal research and writing professor, Dan, about his anxiety, and boy, don't we hear that a lot, and doubts about his ability to timely complete a research paper that Dan had to sign. So, Dan's the teacher, P's the student, P versus D. Dan noticed that Paul appeared unusually anxious and suggested he go see a school counselor. Realize we already have an anxious person, so he might be a little fragile in this time, just like people are right before the bar exam when they're studying. Or for those of you waiting for results, the anxiety kicks in really close to the exam. So this is what's going on. The more the deadline approaches, the higher the anxiety goes. So you see how people could be on edge? That goes to the IIED issue, whether they're going to have severe emotional distress. And this guy's already a basket case. So Paul returned to the apartment that he shared with Jack, who is also enrolled in Dan's legal research and writing class. So far I haven't developed any legal issues. And I know that some people will tell you that every fact is important. Everything's in there. Okay, first of all, everything's in there for a reason. But not every single fact is going to be the case cracker. You realize, so far, they've just set up the fact pattern. I mean, they have to lay the background at times, so it's not uncommon to get an entire paragraph where there are no legal issues. Keep that in mind. But here's the thing about torts. Torts is incredibly factually based. I mean, you can take the same law, apply it to two separate facts, have 2 completely separate outcomes. So you have to pay attention to the little clues the examiners are giving. You're not going to find that in a template. You're not going to find that in a checklist. You're not going to see that in a mnemonic. You're going to see them actually reading carefully and slowing down and thinking about, why are they telling me this? The day before the research paper was due, Jack looked for his paper in his room but could not find it. And don't forget, Jack is Paul's roommate. Later, Jack returned home from school. He found the paper on his desk where he thought he had originally placed it. So, kind of like, well, it was here, I left, it's not here, and then it kind of comes back. Like, that seems a little weird. Maybe somebody took it, maybe Jack's memory is kind of failing him a little bit. After submitting the paper, Jack became suspicious that Paul might have copied parts of Jack's paper on the day that it seemed to be missing. I don't know where Jack gets this suspicion from, but okay, he's suspicious about his roommate. Maybe he shouldn't live with a guy. Jack went to Dan's office, so he goes to his teacher, like a little snitch, and told him about his suspicions. Dan pulled a stack of submitted papers, what he thought was Paul's paper. So Dan's looking through them, takes what Jack said into consideration, looks at Paul's paper, going to compare the 2. That's empirical proof. When Jack saw the paper, he recognized the footnotes and said that Paul had copied all the footnotes from my paper. Now, is that statement made maliciously? Is that statement made to impugn Paul? No, he really believes that this is Jack's paper and that Paul had copied it. Turns out he actually was mixed up. But we don't have an evil intent, but nevertheless, even if you negligently publish something, because I think it's a negligent publication, you can still be liable for defamation. So the first part of the defamation is, well, it turns out to be untrue. You don't know that yet, so everything's going to have to bridge it together. This is why you need to read the fact pattern a few times, because you'll catch that and go, oh, I got it now. So the statement that Dan made to Jack is defamation. I'm not quite sure if there's a privilege in there, a common interest, because I don't know if they share the common interest. You might want to make that discussion, but it's definitely a false statement made to a third party. And that's all. Here's the definition of defamation. You want the layperson's definition? Hey, bro, you're talking shit behind my back. That is defamation. That's the textbook definition of it on the street. So the next day, Dan told Jack and Paul's class, why is it significant that we go from Dan telling Jack to Dan telling the whole class? And this is what you're not going to see in a checklist or a template. You're going to see it from a fact pattern. Defamation requires publication to one other person, just anybody but the plaintiff. Invasion of privacy, false light, public disclosure of private facts requires a larger audience. So the fact that they're telling that to the whole class, immediately my mind goes to, whoa, he already defamed him. Now we're going to go, so I can already start seeing where the examiners are going with this. We know it's a false statement. We end up learning it's a false statement because if it was true, you have nothing to write about and you do nothing with the 59 minutes left of your time. So there's defamation. So now we're going to kind of go to false light, because realize defamation and false light really go hand in hand. They're akin to each other. False light is when they put you into a view. Everyone's going to think that Paul's a cheater. But that's not true, so that places him in a false light. The statement that he was a cheater, that he actually copied the footnotes, is also defamatory. But the false light comes in because it was published to the whole class. If it was just to Dan, we wouldn't have an invasion of privacy tort. And the other thing is this. We'll get to the one invasion of privacy tort that you may miss. And then we know IAED's in here because we're dealing with a basket case. Okay, so those are the three main ones. And the last one is the one that I think most people are going to have a little trouble getting. The next day, Dan told Jack, so the teacher told Paul's roommate, and that's how I like to read things. I like to read things so I know who the parties are. So when you're actually on the bar exam, what I would put is this: teacher, student, and then Jack, roommate. All right? So this way you know who everyone is, so you don't get confused. And I'll tell you, that 2020 February PT, it was essential that you did something like that. Okay, I hope no other student has copied. Now he's telling this to the whole class. I hope no other student has copied his footnotes from another student's paper like that 2-bit actor Paul. All right, I couldn't believe how many people didn't know what the word 2-bit was. It just means insignificant, small. Hey, he's pretty much saying you're not really even an actor. I mean, he's got 2 small memorable roles. How many? The streets in Hollywood are littered with people like that. And it happens all the time. And guess what? They're the ones who are now doing takeout at restaurants. And that's totally fine, but you have to understand that this happens all the time. And they probably get, it's hard to make it in the business. So here we go. We have, call him a 2-bit actor. So there's 2 things you have to break down with a defamatory statement. Because that's like, it's talking shit to someone else about me, behind my back. That's what defamation. So it's a statement that's published, defamatory statement that's published to a third party. Simple as that. So, is it defamatory? Well, telling the class that he copied footnotes it's false. It's defamatory. Defamatory means that people aren't want to deal with you. I mean, think about it. If you heard somebody was saying really bad things about a particular person and you hadn't met that person, do you really want to associate with that person? You already have a negative image. And that's what defamation is. It impugns your reputation. It makes others not want to deal with you. Now, calling him a 2-bit actor, that's an opinion. That's his opinion. Okay? You might think that Paul is an incredible actor. This guy doesn't. And we all have different opinions about certain actors. I mean, I think we could all agree to that. So you have to understand there's 2 different statements there. That he copied the footnotes and that the 2-bit actor. The 2-bit actor is an opinion. The copied is a completely defamatory statement. The examiners expect you to do that. Separate those 2. And you know what? If you didn't know how to do that, it's extremely common on defamation essays. You don't believe me? Go back and look at defamation essays that have been tested over the last 20 years, 30 years, and you'll see they do that all the time. They do it on they don't do it on MBEs though. Paul was in class and heard the statement, so he knows that it happened. He's deeply humiliated. Why in the world would they put deeply humiliated? First of all, is this extreme and outrageous? Does the professor really need to tell the whole class that he cheated? And that brings my invasion of privacy issue up there. That's kind of a private matter. Why are you telling the class? Oh, if it's a private matter, that's publication of private facts. Because think about it. I'm sure we've all known people, believe it or not, I've known people who got caught cheating on the state bar. And that's a private matter. Nobody knows about that, unless you know the person individually. So the fact that the teacher is now broadcasting this to everybody in the classroom, I see public disclosure of private facts. And if you're sitting there going, Jason, how am I supposed to get all this? Slow down, take your time and think. Literally, that's what you have to do. And by analyzing fact patterns like this in practice during law school and when you're studying for the bar exam, you're going to start to see that. I mean, you need to understand the law. For those of you that are wasting time memorizing words or writing your own outline, you're missing the point of the bar exam. You have to pay attention to this, because I don't care how many words you memorize or how many laws you know, if you can't see two-bit actor in this, you can't see these, this is a private matter. That's up here, that's just common sense. So I think the bar exam tends to be very logical, very commonsensical, and very real life. I mean, it is real life. This happens all the time. Okay. So he is humiliated, suffered a severe panic attack. Okay, so is it extreme and outrageous? Is it beyond the bounds of a decent society for the professor to go and announce that? I think you can make a strong argument for yes. I wouldn't disagree with you if you said no, whatever. I mean, that's it's a cheap shot. And then the other thing is, did he suffer severe emotional distress? Well, he's unusually anxious to begin with. He's obviously bummed out about his career. Let's see what else we have. He's deeply humiliated, and now he suffered a severe panic attack. I think the panic attack pushes us over, but his damages, I think, would be limited because of the fact that, well, he suffered severe emotional distress, but this guy was like one parking ticket away from going postal, so he was already there, and so the damages aren't going to probably be that much. Okay, where are we going now? But not seek medical treatment. Again, that goes to the mitigation of damages, whether or not he should have mitigated his damage by seeing somebody, getting some, whatever they give people to calm down. And that, again, goes to like the whole amount, and that's what the call to questions asking. Dan later discovered that he had inadvertently shown Jack his own paper. So Dan was clearly negligent. He wasn't intentional, so he's not a public thief. I mean, sorry, I gave that away. There's no actual malice, because he didn't. When Dan said it, when the teacher said it, he didn't know that it wasn't Paul's paper or Jack's paper. He assumed it was Paul's paper that was copied from Jack, but it was actually Jack's paper that he was looking at. So he wouldn't do it maliciously. So what does that have to do with anything? Well, the fact is, for defamation, what's the fault standard? I mean, if this is a private matter and it's common law defamation, there's no fault. It's just kind of like strict liability. If it's a matter of public concern, which somebody a student cheating in his classroom, is that a matter of public concern? Debatable. I don't care how you answer it. The thing is, it doesn't matter how you discuss it, whether or not you want to say it's a public concern, whether or not you say it's not a public concern. It's up for debate. That's why the last answer on every single California bar exam is discuss. So you're just going to discuss that. Don't worry about writing to the wrong answer. That's for the jury to decide. You're just explaining what the legal issues are. Now, is Paul a public figure? Well, he's not a public official. So is he somebody who's achieved pervasive fame and notoriety in society? Well, he is a two-bit actor, mind you. But he's had two memorable roles in two recent Hollywood movies, and they were blockbusters. Maybe he's a minor celebrity. So if the court were to conclude, and again, I don't care what your conclusion is, for issues that cannot be reasonably argued either, I mean, you can be argued either way. It doesn't matter. I think most people try to go, I don't know what the answer is, so they get concerned. I don't care what the answer is. I would say, well, some people may think he is a public figure, at least a limited public figure, because he has these memorable roles in two blockbusters. Although they were small parts, he wasn't the lead actor. Hey, this guy's somebody that everyone kind of knows, But even if you say he's not a limited public figure, there's no actual malice anyways. but you have to at least discuss each one, or at least discuss why and why not. Don't forget, some things on the essays are subjective and they can go either way. Other things on the essays are clearly straightforward, and you don't want to argue things. Don't make arguments where there are none. If the law is settled and if the facts are clear, then don't make arguments that aren't there. Only make arguments when it's ambiguous or when there's could be reasonable minds different. So, and Paul had not copied Jack or any other person. So Paul sued Dan based on his statement to the class, not based on his statement to Jack, which was defamatory. So one of the things that for the defense of defamation, the teacher could issue a retraction. That would kind of mitigate a lot of the harm. I don't think a lot of people understood like how retractions work, but you can ask for it. It's more of a modern thing that happens. Anyways, this is all they were looking for. Defamation, which nobody missed. IED, which I don't think anybody missed. False light, public disclosure. Yeah, I don't think everyone will get all of them, but this is why they were looking for it. Because this is a private matter. I mean, this could be a private matter, and there's the discussion. We're done.